My day typically consists of waking up at roughly 3:30 a.m. in the morning. You're shaking your head, but my day gets very long.
有一个热门的台湾知名 ETF 布爆了，金额逼近了2000亿新台币，按年收益成长跟我们大家习以为常那些高股息不一样，它是找寻有成长机会的公司，然后带来更好的股价，整个的总报酬，我相信才是所有台湾投资人所应该去追寻的。
在开始之前呢，我要先跟大家讲一个活动。近期市场嘛，大家都觉得就是各个股市创新高，可能会手中有一些资产，不知道该进场还是要先观望。那我们在4月13号的时候有举办一个针对这个议题的讲座，报名链接会放在下面，我们邀请大家来参加。
大家好，欢迎收看鉅亨Fund大镜经营长事。那今天我要作为代班主持人，然后邀请到一个非常不得了的来宾，因为大家都知道鉅亨买基金是全台最大的民营基金交易平台。那我们今天邀请到的是全台湾最大的基金的经理人，而且通常你如果看别的节目，你的经纪人好像都是应该看起来都台湾人，都讲中文嘛。那我们邀请到是真的货真价实的哦，他是在美国操盘的基金经理人，来跟我们大家分享一下这档基金的一个内容。Welcome, Kass。好，谢谢你。
Ni hao wa shi, Justin. Thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Have you ever been to Taiwan before?
I've been to Taiwan multiple times before.
Wow, where have you been?
Mostly Taipei.
Oh, so you never go to like Tainan or Kaohsiung before?
I've been south, but I forget what city I've been to. We do a lot of forums to go see clients, so we travel all around Taiwan.
Oh, so
not
not for
for
traveling.
working, not
Okay.
for traveling.
Okay, maybe you should visit us next time. We'll take you to some travel place to go. Okay, do you know what 3 things Taiwanese people love the most? You can guess, just guess.
Bubble tea,
Come on! How can
fried
you know?
chicken.
Come on! Okay, we prepare a bubble tea for you.
Thank you very much. It's good to drink.
你赢快买狗仔 And you mentioned about the fried chicken, right?
Yep.
So we also prepare fried chicken for you.
Fried chicken, it's good to eat.
你加快买狗仔 And lastly, it's the Allianz Income and Growth Fund, which out of its nearly 680 billion is held by Taiwanese investors. That's why we've collected lots of questions from our investors, eager to learn more about this fund, hoping to give them more understanding. Let's start with an easy one question. Managing such a huge fund must be quite challenging. Have you had any tough or interesting experiences you could share?
First off, I want to thank everyone in Taiwan for all of our clients. We couldn't do it without you, so we want to thank you very much for your support. Being in the markets, Income and Growth utilizes 3 different asset classes. We utilize equities with covered calls, high yield bonds, and convertible bonds. All of these are risk assets, meaning they're going to move with the markets.
Yeah.
High yield has a correlation of 0.6 to equities. Convertibles have a very high correlation of 0.8 to 0.9. So we learn a tremendous amount through every cycle. What we try and do is apply lessons learned from 2011, 2015, 16, 18, 19. There's always drawdowns, there's always risk to markets. So what we try and do is every cycle starts differently and ends differently, but a lot of the same results. So we try and apply lessons learned from every cycle to current market environment. The other thing that we're trying to do also is we rebalance constantly the portfolio. We keep it static at 1/3 equities, 1/3 convertible bonds, and 1/3 high yield. Why that matters is because equity markets are cyclical, but if we look at the long-term return profile of those asset class, they're roughly 8 to 9%. So there's going to be periods of time where equities do better, convertibles do better, but we always want to rebalance to that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 to ensure that we don't take too much equity risk or too much fixed income risk, because it's very hard to time and predict markets. So we stay consistent to our discipline. So that's probably the most important thing, is that stick true to your philosophy, your process, to your discipline, Because if you do that, then clients understand what you deliver to them and what you deliver for them. And when you go through market cycles, they understand the downside, but more importantly, also the upside coming out of market cycles.
It also sounds like a tough experience. How about an interesting one?
There's the great thing about what we do in the markets is every day is a different day. So you don't know what news comes out overnight, what's going to drive it. If you think of just the recent market environment, think about 6 months ago, you heard about AI, but then all of a sudden it's very mainstream, and then all of a sudden all companies tied to AI are doing very well. So what I love about my job is you can't wake up and be prepared for anything, because every day is different. You're gonna have new convertible bond issuance, you're gonna have new high yield issuance, you're gonna have positive pre-announcements, you're gonna have conferences, you're gonna have negative pre-announcements, you're gonna have news flow. So it's not like I wake up and go to my office and know what to expect. Not one single day I come in and it is exactly what I expect it to do.
我觉得是适合需要接受挑战的人，因为如果不是喜欢接受挑战的人，每天都要处理不同的资讯、不同的内容，光是应变就来不及。Next question is about a day. Can you share what a day in the life of a fund manager is like? Do you really have enough time in your day?
Oh, I love my job. It's the greatest job in the world. So my day typically consists of waking up at roughly 3:30 a.m. in the morning, because I work East Coast hours, and New York, the stock markets opens up at 9:30. But on the West Coast in San Diego, that's 6:30. But news flow starts coming out at 4:30 in the morning. So I get to the office at 4:30. You're shaking your head, but my day gets very long. So my typical day in the office is about 4:30 to about 3:30, because the market closes at 1 and then there's news flow that happens after that. But since my business is global, and thanks to all of the support I get in Taiwan, we also meet with our clients sometimes in the evening. So it's very common for my day to start at 3:30 a.m. and then go to 6:30 or 7:30 at night. So the great thing about my job though is, even though I work those hours, I get to come home, I get to see my family, see my kids, because they get home and off from school at the same time. So I never like waking up at 3:30. I never like going to bed at 8:30. I wish I can spend more time with family and friends, but I love thinking that we can do better than the stock market. We love analyzing companies, evaluating a company's capital structure, allocating once we identify a theme or trend across a company's capital structure, and that's what income and growth is all about. So I know it sounds challenging, and waking up at 3:30 is not good for anyone, but I've now done it for 25 years.
刚才经理人说他在东岸时间开盘前先准备，说他凌晨3点半就起床。How many people in your team are all of them work such a long hour like you?
Not all of them work as many long hours as I do, but almost everyone gets into the office by 5:30 in the morning. Not as many people are client facing. The portfolio managers do meet with clients in the evening. It's not every day and every week that happens. There's sometimes very high demand from clients in the Middle East, clients in Europe, clients in Asia, and sometimes there's very low demand. When markets are bad, we usually have a lot more requests for meetings. When markets are good, like 2023, there's less demand. Today, most people want to know, is the equity market in a bubble, or is the S&P too high? Are we going to have a correction? That's very different than in 2022, when clients want to know, why is your portfolio down? What's happening to the NAV? So it's, for the average team member, it is very typical to have a 10 to 11 hour day, and then portfolio managers, occasionally it's longer than that.
Oh my God. 台湾有个笑话，说为什么美国很强大？因为台湾人在睡觉的时候，美国人都在工作。那这句话我刚才听经理人一讲，原来发现不是笑话，他们用这么离谱、非常长的工作时间来帮投资人看投资市场发生什么事，所以我觉得这就是解释为什么主动式基金有其核心价值的原因。因为大部分投资人不可能一天花10几个小时在看市场， 所以我觉得这解释为什么这些基金那么成功。I think it's time to move to the tougher question. Many Taiwanese investors believe that with the Fed ready to cut interest rates, so buying a long-term U.S. government bond is a no-lose deal. What's your take on that?
We need to be, first I'm going to talk just on the Fed real quickly because what's been very consistent is the Fed's message. The Fed has always told people they're going to raise interest rates here and they're going to cut interest rates only a couple times in 2024.
Yeah.
The market's expectation has changed dramatically. In November of last year, the market was anticipating 6 cuts. Today, we're just under 3. But the Fed has been very consistent with that. So people like to time duration, and actually duration is a very hard asset class to time. And think of last year, most people were making that trade that they wanted to invest in duration, and that trade worked for a short period of time. But then when the market's expectations changed and we're pricing in less Fed cuts, then duration stopped working. So we think instead of trying to time duration, you own income and growth because convertible bonds, which are part of income and growth, actually have the same risk profile as duration, but over time, significantly better returns. So we agree that we do think the Fed's going to cut rates, but we worry a little bit about market expectations of investors thinking it's going to happen very, very fast.
刚才技能讲，其实跟我们去年一直以来跟大家投资人讲的其实非常相似。其实市场在去年的时候过分一厢情愿认为今年会降6码，其实那时候还有喊7码，是夸张还有8码。那我们一直跟大家说，其实合理的码数可能是3码，或是根本不会降息，因为美国经济太好。那所以刚才技能也提到这一点，就是要去预测联准会到底降多少啊？因此去调整你买长债和短债是件非常非常困难的事。他说我们一直要提醒投资朋友，就是很多人会跟你说买长债是一个稳赢的、不会输的投资机会。那我们认为说其实蕴含着非常大的风险。So let's move to the next question. Artificial intelligence has been a hot topic recently. What's your thoughts on that? And can it increase the American productivity and launch a new growth cycle?
Yeah, so that's a great question. AI is very topical. We also think it's very, very real because if you look at some of the largest cap companies already, they're spending a tremendous amount of money to build out not only the chips that are required for AI and large language models, but also they have to build out the network. So you're going to see data center increase in spend. You're going to see network connectivity increase. You've seen it with companies and semiconductor companies where they've had huge upside to numbers and massive stock price performance. So companies will have to have it to differentiate themselves, and you've already seen companies that have AI and are implementing it start to outperform companies that don't. So we think we're at the start of a broader cycle. It will enhance productivity. If you look at the most recent productivity prints, the US is now, I think it was 2.6%, which is one of the highest levels it's been at in a long time. So we are encouraged by what we see. We do think it'll help productivity, and we think we're at the very early stages of AI.
我这边先提一个很有趣，这是来自于一份 DeepMind， 就是 Google 里面的研究报告。它里面研究报告提说，我们现在的大语言模型需要3种东西，一个是参数，模型里面的参数有多少；然后另外一个是模型是有多少资料量；另外就是模型需要多少算力。它根据这最完美的比例，他说当模型的参数每成长10倍。它算力要是成长100多倍，所以我们以目前的 GPT-4 来看 ，GPT-4 参数目前预估大概1兆多，那预估 GPT-5 可能会成长到100兆，所以你看，如果是从1兆到100兆，它的算力需要成长1万多倍。那这也是为什么像刚才经理人提到 AI 这件事情应该是刚开始，而且刚要开始提升大家的生产力。而且我觉得这刚好接续到上个问题，就是如果美国生产力刚刚提高的话，那美国就很难遇到经济衰退。那如果美国没有经济衰退，买长债就不是一个正明智的选择。With the U.S. election coming up at the end of this year, will the result affect your investment strategy?
Yeah, there is an election coming up at the end of the year. It's a little too early to worry about it from a market perspective, it is talked about, but it's really the back half of 2024 will matter. Now, the interesting thing is it's going to be Trump versus Biden. The good thing is we already know each of their policies. We know where Trump stands and we know where Biden stands because they've already been part of the, U.S. economy, and they both served as president. So I don't think there's going to be surprises to the market. Trump is a little more pro-business, so that probably would have more of a positive impact on the market, but there's not going to be the uncertainty of what Trump means to the market like there was from last time he was elected as president.
所以经理人的看法是认为说，至少这两个人，一个是现任总统嘛，一个是前任美国总统，而且大家应该都还记得，上次川普刚当选的时候，大家都说完了，股市要完蛋，可是实际发生的是，当时的美股其实表现很好。因为川普是一个很重商主义的一个总统，所以反而不一定会有不好的事。所以这个答案其实有点好像预期之内，又好像有点奇妙。因为其实台湾投资人好像也很难决定到，因为普遍大家觉得共和党的总统是对台湾有利的啊，民主党可能对台湾不利，所以台湾人的想法就好像有点不太一样。Another question about the black swan. Do you see any potential black swan ahead? Such as those in the commercial real estate sectors.
So it's very hard to time black swan event. So the thing that gets markets isn't what's discussed today. Everyone knows there's commercial real estate problem. Everyone knows the Fed's going to cut interest rates. So black swan events occur when nothing anyone's talking about comes to the market. You cannot prepare for that.
Yeah.
So how we always prepare, the most important thing is company management, staying disciplined, doing your credit work, doing your fundamental research, making sure you don't try and time markets. You don't, with income and growth, it's a third. Equities have done very well in the last 15 months, better than high yield bonds, better than convertible bonds. So we're naturally taking some profits in equities, moving them to high yield bonds and convertible bonds. So the way you prepare for black swan events is stick to your discipline. Don't take too much risk. Don't overextend yourself and go beyond your discipline. That's where people get in trouble. They get very comfortable in the market environment and they forget markets are cyclical. They go up, they go down. If an event was to occur, we've had plenty of cycles. 08, 09, COVID. There's tons of times where there's sell-offs in the market. Clients should use that as an opportunity to add to their portfolios and just stick to the discipline of why you're invested in the markets over the long term.
我觉得经理人讲得非常好，因为其实黑天鹅的定义自然而然就是没有人预料它会发生嘛，永远这世界上都会潜藏着你不知道会发生的事情或奇怪的意外，所以做好挑选公司的基本功就是足够的。应该说这个是大部分人随时可以做的。然后同时，它年收益成长就是分散在3种资产之中嘛，所以它本身就已经做到了很分散，那自然而然可以帮助投资人避免一些意料之外的波动。And finally, any advice for Taiwanese investors and compared to the high dividend stock ETF in Taiwan? Is the Allianz Income and Growth Fund still a good core investment choice?
Yeah, we love income and growth. Obviously, I'm the CIO of the income and growth team, so I'm going to tell you to always buy more income and growth and always have it as a core strategy. That's a great question as far as the Taiwan high dividend paying stocks. The one thing we remind investors and why we created income and growth is because most high dividend paying funds focus on financials, REITs, utilities, telecom. Income and growth was created to be different from all of those funds. Income and growth said instead of focusing on dividends, what if you focused on companies that were growing earnings and earnings growth? So the most important thing for income and growth is identifying companies that are seeing a change in earnings because typically those financials, those utilities, they don't have a lot of growth, they have a lot of dividend. So we're trying to change a client's profile by saying, we can give you high income like a high dividend paying stock or a high dividend paying ETF, but we're giving it with you with growth companies, and growth companies, if you look at the history, tend to outperform the market. So our goal is to give clients that high dividend that they love, that monthly income, that income stream, but also with completely different companies by giving them companies that are growing earnings, companies that hopefully can outperform the market.
我觉得建言讲非常好，因为其实我们在录的当下这几天，刚好看到非常夸张的新闻，就是有一个热门的台湾知名 ETF， 它募爆了，金额逼近了2000亿新台币。那这件事当然其中有它的原因啦，我们自己有去跑回测，我们去看一下说，假设投资人在1987年年底的时候选的是 MSCI 世界的高股息指数的话，它到现在会赚大概1250%，就是总报酬啦，含息再滚入再投资。那如果他当初买的不是高股息，他买的是 MSCI 世界，会变成1520%。如果他买的是 MSCI 世界成长指数，会变成1610%。所以其实高股息，就像刚才今天讲，因为很多高股息传统是什么？就是价值类股。那价值类股它能发那么多高股息，给你原因是什么？这公司很稳定，它不需要投太多的钱对于未来的增长，所以它可以把很多钱发放股息给投资人。那如果一个公司未来没有太多成长，它自然而然股价的上涨幅度就不会比成长类股来得好。所以刚才经理人就讲得非常重要，按年收益成长跟我们大家习以为常那些高股息不一样，它并不是聚焦在一些成长比较慢的价值公司，它是找寻有成长机会的公司。那成长带来企业获利，然后再带来更好的股价，然后整个的总报酬，我相信才是所有台湾投资人所应该去追寻的。你不是应该追寻配息，你该追寻的是资本利得加上配息之后的总报酬。OK，thank you for your time.
Thank you
to share so much about your expertise with us and our audience. And wishing you all the best and a smooth journey ahead.
Thank you very much, and thank you every one of our clients for your investment. Thank you for everything you do for us.
那我们今天节目到这边。那提醒大家，如果觉得我们的内容制作得很好，希望我们制作更多这种优质内容给大家的话，大家记得一定要使用放大代码帮我们订阅。那使用放大代码帮我们订阅的人有什么好处？除了可以收到每一季专属的投资报告之外，我们还会举办见面会，优先邀请使用放大代码来参加。那我相信都可以带给投资朋友在投资的路上走得更顺遂、更美好。谢谢大家 ，Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
投资一定有风险，基金投资有赚有赔，申购前应详阅公开说明书或投资人须知。